The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. Glad to have you with us today. We have a packed show. You wouldn't think it would be packed here toward the end of May, but it is. We got a lot of stuff to cover. UT moves its opener in football. The hype train just keeps chugging along for the Vols. That's nuts right now. Baseball, softball, basketball, T. Higgins talk. We got a lot of stuff. Coming up on today's show, let's just dive right into it. First segment of our program brought to you by Tennova Healthcare, known for their heart care, their orthopedic care, ER care. When it comes to protecting your health, no one is more qualified in more different areas than Tennova Healthcare. And I know firsthand that you will get care with Tennova, not just a bed and a gown. Tennova, they will take care of you with a personal touch. I know for a fact. Tennova.com to learn more. All right, want to welcome in our guests today. We have Mr. Bob Hodge, we have Mr. Josh Ward, and we have the Chuck Cavaleris down there. We were, I thought, going to have a fourth guy, but I messed up the scheduling on my show, so there's only three of us today, only three panelists. So they're happy because they get to talk more. So, controversy on Rocky Top, and I know that's really something new around here. This week, Dave Hart comes out, makes the announcement that the SEC Network ESPN, the SEC Network, wanted to move Tennessee Appy State to Thursday night, September 1st, move it off the Saturday hot afternoon game, put it Thursday night, get the eyeballs, get the television, get some recruits to see it. You're not going head-to-head with all those great games on Labor Day weekend there that Saturday. The response has been mixed, although in this world with Twitter, when is the response not mixed? But plenty of people who had already booked hotels, some had booked flights, they aren't happy. It's kind of 50-50. You got a lot of people now saying, online now in May, that, well, I'm not going to go. I'm going to show Dave Hart that he didn't care about me. I'm not going to care about him. Thoughts on the situation? I feel for the fans that can't come in. At the same time, it's kind of become part of the business.
Well, you said reaction is mixed. My reaction is mixed because, now I don't know if I will go to the game because
a protest.
Not because of a protest, because I go to my office at 6 o'clock in the morning, and so that makes it a little hard. But I understand the people who had already booked all of these things. I mean, that's not a minor expense. People set aside their money. They plan for these ball games. But I also understand how come Tennessee did it. So I see both sides of the argument right here. If I had to come down on one, I would come down on being a fan. I would come down on don't make it that much harder on your fans. But I see why Tennessee did it.
Yeah, I think it's how you're personally affected. If you live in Knoxville, it's very easy to get to the game. You'll get off work and you'll go to the game, and there's no real big impact. But there are people that drive 5-6 hours to get to the game, and they are personally affected. They have to take off work. Maybe a couple of vacation days might be difficult to get there. There are people who have told me, I don't know that I can get to the game unless I take vacation that might already be allotted for something else.
Now, welcome to the world of flex scheduling.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. And it's all about more exposure for Tennessee football. And, I understand the complaints, but, on Thursday, you're kind of like the thing. It's the SEC Network. Saturday, you're kind of lost in the mix. If it was more of a name opponent,
right,
I would have a little bit more of a problem with it. But, I think they should have had an asterisk on the preseason schedule anyway, saying subject to change.
Well, and they do say to be announced, but the problem is they don't do that with the date.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Kickoff time.
I feel it too because the teams I follow are long distance. So if I'm going to go to Patriots game, that's a flight. That isn't just hop in the car and drive over there. So if something gets moved, if I'm planning on a 1 o'clock and then flying back on Sunday night or something, or early Monday morning, I don't need it to be moved to 8:30 at night thanks to NBC and a flex game. I need to know, and that's just moving it 6-7 hours.
Right.
So when you move it 2 days, I do get that. I understand. The problem is when you look at it in this day and age, it's almost like you can't really make plans that far in advance because everybody in the SEC's done this. Alabama's moved a game to Thursday. LSU's moved a game to Thursday. I think they've all moved a game to Thursday at one point or another.
Yeah, and the kickoff is at 8.
7:30.
7:30.
And the only
Okay.
thing you're opposite really is South Carolina Vandy.
Okay, once again, I'll just look at it from my situation. The kickoff's at 7:30. The game is going to last 3.5 hours. Okay, so now you're at 11 o'clock. I mean, anybody who drives out of Neyland Stadium traffic, anywhere you live in Knoxville, you're looking at 30, 45 minutes. So I get home at midnight. Now I have to be back at work at 6. So it's not a small inconvenience. Even if you
No.
live in Knoxville, it's not a small
And
inconvenience.
think about
Right.
it, is Friday still a school day? Is the next day still a school day? So, I mean, that
Not for some
factors-
kids.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, now,
It'd be a
Wouldn't
sick
it
day
for
for a lot
me?
of people.
yeah, some kids are already starting to feel sick. Josh, in terms
Hold
of,
it. I think I'm getting a temperature.
I mean, you and I do this media thing, so this changes the way I'm going to do my Sunday show that day. That'll be the kickoff to our 14th season here on the Sports Source, and typically it would be 100% or 90% the Appy State game. I think with that kind of a setup, you're now going to be looking at it saying, okay, I'm going to have a little bit more time to put toward Virginia Tech. Your show on Friday and Thursday, I mean, that blows you up on Thursday because you guys are going to do game day all day, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
well, our shows will be different on Thursday, which some people will probably be happy about, by the way. But again, it goes back to when I mentioned the personal impact. Selfishly, I kind of like it because that Saturday slate's so loaded.
Yeah.
My day's kind of freed up to watch those games. So some people have said that. Here's what I'm also curious about. I'd love to hear reaction from local business owners, bars, restaurants,
Yeah.
because the next week is also a neutral site game. So that's 2 Saturdays that have been taken away. So you have 6 instead of 8, which you could have had, and I think 3 in the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, and you go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
Well, I was about to say, I'm not going to mention his name, but I know a local business owner who has some restaurants. He will not be happy about this because
Right.
he's told me in the past when they move the games to the evening, he said that wipes out your big evening business, not only from people who are at the game, whereas if you had an early afternoon, you'd catch them after the game. The people who would be eating in his restaurant anyway
Right.
are staying at home and watching the game on television. So I would think overall, if you're a Knoxville businessman, you're not too pleased about
Plus,
this.
if most people are going to go to work Thursday, you're going to go to work Thursday. You're not going to blow off work all day, I'm sure. Let's say it was a Saturday, you might go over to, I know you don't, but you might go over there 6 hours early. And
Yeah.
Chuck, somebody might go over there 6 hours early and scramble down the strip, although the strip now looks like Beirut. I don't know, they'd find some place on the strip to go. So now I think that would be less time during the day for those businesses to make money. That's an interesting point, guys. Now, from Tennessee's perspective, you look at it, not only does it get you more eyeballs, I think, but it also gives you 2 extra days to heal up, 2 extra days to prepare for Virginia Tech at Bristol, which I think, to me, that might be the number one advantage, even over TV. You're going to have a couple of extra days here before Virginia Tech does to work on that game.
I think that's the true benefit to Tennessee. There is the national exposure, but I think we can kind of exaggerate that because when we talk about that, it's recruiting, right? I don't know how many opinions are really going to be shaped based on the Appalachian State game. It'll be
ESPN
Florida
will have the number one after the game.
Right. But it'll be Florida through Alabama, which really shapes recruits' opinions. But you get a couple of days to get ready for Virginia Tech, which is a legitimate opponent,
Right.
and then all the logistics that go into getting ready for Bristol, extra time for that.
No, I think from Tennessee's standpoint, it's a good idea. I've been talking my standpoint. From Tennessee's standpoint, heck yeah, you do it.
Yeah.
I think you do it in a heartbeat.
Let me go ahead and show Tennessee. This will just be the 7th time that Tennessee has played a non-Saturday regular season game in the last 25 years. So you go back 2014, they played Utah State on a Sunday. In 2008, they played at UCLA on a Monday. That was a loss. 2005, the Hurricane Rita game, they moved the LSU game, and Tennessee won down there in overtime. Incredible comeback for Philip Fulmer's squad. 2004, the UNLV game at home, they opened on a Sunday night. That was the throwback Condrich Holloway jerseys that look good that they ought to do more often. 96, Peyton Manning rolled over Ole Miss in Memphis. And then 91, Louisville was set up for its most successful, biggest season, high-profile season ever. And Tennessee went up and broke their quarterback's leg on a Thursday night to basically ruin their season and get Tennessee's off on the right foot. And then for years, this is interesting, from 1919 to 1939, we've talked about it on the show before, should Tennessee ever do a Thanksgiving game again. From 1919 to 1939, they played Kentucky every year on Thanksgiving. So, but since then, I think this is the first Thursday home date since 1939. So you played Thursday a couple of times, but not at home. Last word very quickly. There are some that say this just shows Dave Hart doesn't care about the fans. I'm not buying that. It's a business decision. He has to weigh the options and the long-term benefit of the program. As much as it would screw over a guy traveling like I would have to follow my teams, it does more for UT with the Virginia Tech thing and with the TV thing. I don't think it's about, I don't care about the fans.
No, and you can apologize for the inconvenience, but you can say, hey, this, you can even state the reasons why this makes sense to do it, and I can see those, you know.
Yeah, I think it reflects the impact of the TV contracts.
There you go. All right, when we come back, we're talking about game day for the opener. We've mentioned Virginia Tech. No one's talking about Appy State. They went 11-2 last year. Is there any reason to talk about Appy State? We got some numbers. Come on back.